In the Red Chamber, though activities were not as complicated as in the House of Representatives, a rowdy session still occurred during the clause-by-clause consideration of the Electoral Amendment Bill. The contention began as the lawmakers contested the amendment of Section 52, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which concerns the electoral transmission of results. But after a while, the senators voted publicly along party lines. And at the end of voting, 28 senators, mostly from the PDP, voted for the original amendment in the report, while 52 senators, mostly from the APC, voted for the amendment as proposed by Senator Shabi Abdullahi. This means the majority of senators voted that INEC may consider electronic transmission provided the national network coverage is adjudged to be adequate and secure by NCC and approved by the National Assembly.
Many people suffered from the fact that in filing their pre-election cases, it became time-barred. So the point is we need to allow this sufficient time. Otherwise, if we do it this way, it means... So this is the point. This is why this date is not allowed.
Those in favor that clause 52(3) as amended stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
Further amendment that the commission may transmit may at the discretion of the commission, may not shall, that the commission may transmit the result by electronic means where and when practicable.
Reading through this act, you can see that a lot of our fears have been taken care of. So please let us, yes.
What we have voted for and is included in this report now is the amendment sought by Senator Shabi Abdullahi. There is an existing amendment request that no, we should retain what is there, like we did with 180 and 120. So if you think we should retain what is here, you will vote yes. If you think what we have passed before, the amendment of Senator Shabi, then you vote against this one.
Well, joining us for more on this is the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Ajibola Basiru. Thank you for joining us on Nigeria Today. Help us better understand what the senators voted for during plenary today.
I think your report actually captured what we voted for. What we voted on is that we recognize that the commission may transmit election results, but with a condition that there will be certification by the Nigerian Communication Commission as to the security and the coverage of the network, and of course the NCC certification will be approved by the National Assembly. So quite contrary to the misinformation already being peddled even before we took our decision, it was not the case that vote was taken on whether there should be transmission of election results or no transmission of election results. It's about the appropriate wordings and whether the rather very vague, nebulous wordings of what was recommended should be adopted hook, line, and sinker by the Senate. But as is customary with our practice, even when our committee make recommendation, it is for the committee of the whole house to take a decision whether to affirm, amend, or reject such recommendation. So what we have done is an exercise of our democratic right as representatives of the people to say that we will adopt, the commission will adopt a transmission of election results when there is adequate certification as to security and network and the coverage.
All right. With the involvement of NCC and the National Assembly, wouldn't that erode the independence of INEC?
I think there's nothing like absolute independence of any arm of government, and there's nothing that erodes independence of INEC as to the question of transmission, of results. The wordings of even the wordings that was voted for by some lawmakers also give a discretion that is problematic, because it is saying that when and where is practicable. How do you determine practicability without objective empirical parameters to determine practicability? Then how do you determine the objective decision as to whether, when and where it will be taken? The truth is that Section 78 of the Constitution that envisages independence of the Electoral Commission is independence as to the carrying out of lawful activities and duty as stipulated in the Constitution and by the National Assembly Act. If INEC is totally independent, absolutely, as has been conceived, then there is no need to have any Electoral Act stipulating functions, powers, responsibilities, duties, and mode of operation of activities in relation to election, registration, and announcement of results.
All right, so we are where we are now. Are we hoping that by 2023 we would have the electronic transmission of results effective as at then?
Before we even talk about electronic transfer of results, it is good to put Section 52 in context. What the proposition under the past bill now is that the INEC has discretion to come up with procedure for voting, but this will not preclude electronic voting. So the first starting point is that the National Assembly has allowed INEC to develop procedure for 2023 election, and this may include, and the word may is used advisedly. So it is for INEC to determine whether it has the competence, capability to even come up with a procedure for voting electronically. So the question of transfer of results will only come after you have even determined whether there will be voting electronically. So it is a two-stage thing for 2023 election. So INEC will have to first determine, does he have the competence, capability, will he be able to come up with necessary procedure that safeguard the integrity of the electoral process by way of electronic voting. It is then that the question of transmission of results will have to come, and the provision of Section 52 Subsection 3 as approved today by the Senate does not preclude, if necessary certification comes and approved by the National Assembly, for INEC to say that it is approving and using transmission of election results by electronic voting in 2023. What we have is just an attempt to blackmail and muddle up the issues which are very clear, and that is that we cannot leave very important issues as to the coverage of internet, the question of securing the transmission of results, just to be in a vague, nebulous, and unbridled discussion. All right, Senator Basiru, it's less than 2 years to the 2023 elections, and we wait to see what becomes of this bill. Thank you very much for joining us, Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Ajibola Basiru. Thank you. Thank you very much, too.